Just because you have growth doesn't mean you have maturity. So sometimes people try to unintentionally sabotage their assignment because they see a little piece of progress, but it doesn't mean that it's time to move, right? And so a plant could look healthy and still not be ready to produce. So in life, early success doesn't mean full development. Visibility doesn't mean readiness. So we can't go around like I've done it a lot. I've done it a lot when I was like, I heard a little something, I knew a little piece of my assignment, and then I just took off running. Not waiting for the next instruction, not waiting for the timing to be right by God, but just took off running. And it's not like I was doing anything horrible, but just like we work with our kids and do with our kids, like you get a little piece of something out of your mouth, then they think that they know what you're gonna say. And so they just take off running to do. And they didn't get the full instruction, right? And so they come back with something crazy. Or they do something that ain't necessary. Or they mess around and mess up the whole assignment and they have to redo it. So we spend more time, more effort, and sometimes you have to start all over again. Immature fruit does not sustain, right? The fruit isn't full, it doesn't have all the nutrients, it doesn't reproduce. So if you're plucking, if you're harvesting before it's time in life, it looks like stepping into roles before you're ready, launching before you're prepared, trying to monetize too early, and forcing purpose into performance. Check, 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 check. I've done it all, y'all. And so this is how I know this is how I can share. Life experience sometimes helps us out so much. And this is how I try to help other people because I've stepped in a role too soon, right? Been there, done that. I've launched before I was prepared. Do y'all know how many business names I've had? Do you know how many domains I've had? Do you know how many websites I've had? And launching before I was prepared. I wasn't mentally prepared. I knew what I needed to start a business, but I wasn't mentally prepared. And then I was trying to monetize too early. I was taking all the things like, how can I make a product out of this knowledge? How can I make a product out of this wisdom? And I monetized way or tried to monetize too early, and it just didn't work. And it just didn't work. And I was trying to outperform my assignment, doing way too much, just doing way too much. Because think about it, if you are picking like an apple before it's time, that apple can be so small, and if that's the case, then you got to pick more apples than you would have if you just wait for the apples to grow to maturity. And we don't want to do any extra work. We work smarter, not harder. For everything there is a season, right? A season to plant, a season to grow, and harvest time. Rushing the process can disrupt God's development of you, right? Because we all have to be developed before we can navigate through the assignment. Because there are some characters that you may need. There are some characteristics that you may need to go to the next level, right? There are some things, some people that you may need to connect with before you can go to the next level because they have open doors for you. But if you try to get in that door before it's time, those people are not in place as of yet. Don't get weary in waiting. And don't wait on God. Wait with God. There is a total difference. Because when you're waiting with your good old best friend, your homie, waiting with them is so much better. It's fun to me. It's a fun time to wait with my besties instead of waiting for them. Same thing with God. Waiting with God helps us more, helps us develop more, helps us to get a clearer understanding, helps us to know that we're not alone, right? And it helps us to not be so anxious. So let's start waiting with God instead of on God. And one thing about it is patience protects the harvest. Because if God is so strategic in everything that he does. So when he tells us to go, hey, I need you to go run to such and such house today. Instead of doing your normal routine, he tells us to pivot and do something else. A lot of times he's protecting us. He's protecting us for so many things that we don't even see. And so, in our obedience, in our patience to let God do his thing with our life's garden, he is protecting us. We are being protected. We are being covered because he sees what we don't, right? And so, if you over there trying to rush your assignment, trying to rush and do this thing, and you thought about 80 million ideas that you could do for this assignment, and God is like, that's not where I'm going, right? And so you have to take all these detours to get back to where you're supposed to be. And had you just waited with God, you wouldn't have to do all this. You wouldn't see so much defeat. You wouldn't feel like you failed. You wouldn't feel like you have so many disappointments. You won't feel like maybe I didn't hear right. Because the route will be clear. The garden will grow in season, right? And we wait because our waiting does not mean that we're not doing something. I have learned that waiting for me is continue to do the last thing that God told me to do. So until he gives me more instruction, then I'll keep doing what it is he told me to do last. If he hasn't given me any more instructions, then I'm not moving. But am I moving in the obedience that he gave me last? Yes. I'm not just sitting twiddling my thumbs, so I'm doing that for. I'm studying, I'm growing, I'm learning, I'm getting wisdom. I'm still helping, I'm still serving, and I'm just allowing God to do his thing. No matter where you are, growth is still taking place. Remember, we always say roots before fruit. And just because you see a little flower peeking out doesn't mean that those fruits are ready to be plucked from your garden, right? You can't give little to other people and expect much. So you can't give that little piece of assignment that you kind of see, that little corner of assignment, and think you're going to feed the whole family and the whole community and think that thing is going to work and be sustainable. It'll fall apart. It's not enough. It's not enough. It's not enough. When you let it grow, it gets strong, it matures, it multiplies. We're multipliers, right? But we got to wait for that multiplying to happen. It just doesn't happen overnight. It doesn't happen when that first leaf pops out of the ground. That's a seedling. That's still growing, right? We can't pluck those things yet. So let's ask ourselves this question together. What am I trying to force before it's ready? And what might happen if I allowed it to fully develop? Think about it. Think about it. Think about it. And if you're willing to share, go ahead and put that in the chat. If you don't want to share, but you want to be like, yes, I get it, go ahead and put some purple hearts in the chat. Let me know that you stopped by. I would love to connect with you. If you are new here, hey, it's me, El Marie, and I am a woman cultivating the garden of life that God has given me. I'm inviting you along on the journey with me, and I hope you invite me along your journey as well, so that we both know we're not in this thing alone, okay? And remember, in a world full of chaos, always focus on the good. Until next time, toodles.